Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Financial Friday on Rise and Thrive. I know Dr. Burns is not here tonight, but I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield, and this is Brother James Jones, and we have a fantastic show for you tonight.
Oh
All
yeah.
right. So, Brother James, how's it going? I know you and I we've been on Financial Friday for a couple of times, filling in as I fill in for Pastor Burns. What's been going on? What's some new things that's going on with you and your businesses?
So the biggest thing I got going on right now is that this is my first. I'm in the process of having my first Section 8 tenant. For
Okay.
many years, I never even thought about having a Section 8 tenant. So, according to a law that was passed a couple years ago, that now everyone qualifies for Section 8, or every home in America or every home qualifies for Section 8. So. It happened. Somebody was like, "Hey, I got Section 8," and I was like, "Oh, that's nice," because I'm thinking of some of the negatives about some of the people that be on Section 8. But I'm finding out that everyone can use assistance, and Section 8 is just another way for people to use assistance in order to get to be able to be rented, and then to able to get rent, so they can live in a proper area.
Well, awesome. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks.
And so what are we going to be talking about tonight?
This is just in line with what I just got done talking about. It is the small steps.
Okay.
So instead of us moving fast paced and talking about multiple things over the course, I'm going to stick to the small steps that one person can take week by week in order to get themselves situated. So this is all about understanding your finances. So these small steps is talking about where to look so I can correct the information that is out there.
Okay. All right. All right. So as you are joining us tonight, remember to like and share. Like
Yeah.
and share. Get this information out into your spheres of influence, those people that you connect with, because Rise and Thrive is all about helping people rise out of different situations, circumstances, and conditions and thrive in the things that God has already designed for us to have. All right. All right. So go ahead, Brother James, get us started tonight.
Okay. Okay. So, like all things, we always want to start off with saying hello to all my grinders. So, if you're out there and you're looking for what you need to do, oftentimes, not oftentimes, when you get to where you need to be, you will know that you're there. But sometimes we utilize energy and we're not doing productivity. And I say that because if you don't know where you're going and you don't know how to get there, you're just doing a lot of stuff.
Right.
It doesn't mean we're being productive. It just means we're doing a lot of stuff. So at this current point in time, if you believe that you're doing a lot of stuff and you don't see yourself moving forward, then we're not being productive, but we are utilizing a lot of energy. So the name of the game is to now start focusing our energy on being productive. Anybody can use energy. Only certain people who understand what they're doing can be productive. So if you take an assembly line and everyone is building something, that's a lot of energy, and they are building a lot of parts, but they're not being productive. But if you take an assembly line and the idea is to build a car, and now everyone is building their piece of the car in the right area, in the right sequence. So before you build the seats, we're building the frame. And now we're putting the tires and wheels on the frame. And now we're putting the seats on the frame. So now everything is being built correctly. Now we are being productive. Then we can measure how fast we can be productive. So this is all about getting us in the right direction so we can be productive. Because we all have energy. We just got to be productive.
That's very good. And last week, Pastor Burns and I were on talking, and he asked how my day or week was going. And I said, man, it was busy. And he said, wait, let's redefine and use a different word. And I believe we used the word productive. So I had a lot going on. but it was a goal. It was an end goal. So it wasn't just busy things keeping me busy and preoccupied and distracted. No, it was for a purpose. It was to get my goals met for that week.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like to do. Um, Most of the time I like to get on and I do my little Instagram morning routine and be like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing today. I hope your day is just feels mine. And I tell people that, and some people just think, okay, you just pack your day with a lot of stuff. And I often try to tell people, no, it's not packed with a lot of stuff. I have things that need to be done immediately. I got things that are important to me, and I got things that are in the future that I need to lead up to. Because no one just walks into a bank and says, hey, I want $1 million. No, there's lead up to that place. No one just says, hey, I got a high credit score over 800. No, there's lead up to getting that 800 credit score. You don't just randomly fall into good luck, because one, I don't believe in luck. So everything is a lead up. I do believe in miracles, but even miracles have a lead up. So it's the lead up process to get us to where we need to be.
Sounds good.
If you want to start, we can start the slides.
Slide up there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Like all things, I want to say welcome to Rise and Thrive. And this is with Dr. Anthony D. Burns, but right now we're presenting with Minister Brumfield and myself, James Jones. The goal for everything, this time we're talking about small steps. And we covered this in a fast pace, but now we're going to go really slow, and we're going to really dive into what makes what a small step.
Okay.
So what is a small step? So the small step right now is getting you productive. So like we was talking about earlier, is that you can have a busy day, but not have a productive day. You can have a full day, but it's not really getting you to where you need to be. So this is getting you where you need to be in a manner that you can easily do it. It's not enough that it's going to be extremely hard, but we want to have a couple of things that you can do that will easily put you in the right direction. The 4 things are knowing your credit score, knowing your credit history, knowing your personal history, and knowing what you actually can afford. Now, as I break down these things, they will be big on us to make sure that we are doing what we need to do so we can understand these processes so we can be more productive.
Okay. All right.
Now, the first one is knowing your credit history. Now, what's really big in the real estate market is your credit history. Likewise, if you was trying to get a credit card, your credit history is very important. When I say very important, I do mean it's very important because of the fact that it shows people who don't know who you are, your financial integrity. Okay. It's not enough to have a good score if you have no history or a small portion of your history. By having a full history of saying, hey, this is what I do, this is what I have accomplished, these are the things in which I have fulfilled, then you have a full credit history. If you have medical bills, or if you have student loan debt, or if you have different various credit cards with high and low interest rates, that creates or forms your credit history. Mm-hmm. It's not just your credit score, but your history tells people if you can do high or short-term debt, if you have car loans, which is considered different from having a mortgage. Credit cards are different from having a car or mortgage loan. All these things are different, so you want to make sure that your portfolio of history reflects that you are able to handle multiple sources of income or multiple sources of credit.
Okay. And so you're talking about, you're sharing the differences between credit history and I think you said credit score.
Correct.
Okay.
So some people believe that they are only looking for a credit score, but that's not necessarily true. You can have a credit score, but you're still missing pieces of your credit history that other places are looking for. And the reason why I say that, because you can have a good credit score, but still get hit with similar interest because your credit history is not big enough, or it doesn't reflect a full portfolio of items that you do.
All right. And so that's why we need to make sure that people are reporting to the credit bureaus, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, if you are now, I got to make sure I preface this correctly, because I want everyone to be on the same page. So, when it comes to your credit history, if you are doing well, make sure that company that you're doing business with is reporting to the credit history, is reporting your credit. If you are on tough times, or if you are not doing the best, or you're in a rebuilding or restructuring stage, then you want to make sure that those things are not being reported to the credit bureau, because your credit history does affect you for up to 7 years. And sometimes it affects you up to 10 years. So you want to make sure that these things that are affecting you for the short term or the long term doesn't hit your credit history and affect you that much more out.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now, when it comes to knowing your history, remember, most things that create your score and your credit history, it's the same thing that affects them both, but one tells more information than the other. So when you look up your credit history, you can get the Equifax, the Experian, or the TransUnion. Those are the 3 major credit bureaus, which a lot of people check, most companies check for when it's time to give you credit. You can get a free credit report that has your credit history at annualcreditreport.com. Okay. It's free for the government. Just make sure that you pick the one that says free and you're not paying for it at all.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, because you can get hooked into a scam. Just because something says it's free, it doesn't mean it's free if you got to pay for it. If you got to subscribe and then pay for it, then it's not free. So your annualcreditreport.com is a free service. When I say free, I do mean free service. You can double check that by checking with your local government, and then they will tell you the same exact website. Now, with that safety notice about make sure you pick the right one. Now let's get into it. With your credit portfolio, not everybody owns a home, but many people own cars. Not everybody owns a car, but you have hospital bills, or you have credit cards. These items are different, and when they pull up your credit history, these items tell a different tale or the same story as your credit score. You want to make sure that if you have a home loan, or if you're renting and they are marking, and that's what the history is, it's a mark. Did this person pay all the bills on time every time, right? And when we look at your credit history, it says mark yes, no, or not available, or unknown. Now, if it says too many unknowns, that can affect your credit history. It may not affect your credit score, but it may affect your credit history. And your credit history may tell someone that you are no longer allowed to view a certain portion of your history.
Okay. So real quick question. What type of purchases would they look for your history? Or because you said there's a difference between history, credit history, and your credit score. What things pretty much look at your credit score, and what things look at both?
So if you plan on getting a house, they're going to pull your credit history. If you plan on getting a high limit on your credit cards, now that may vary from agency, but typically if you're getting a high limit credit card, like $20,000 or more, they're looking at your credit history. When I say your credit score, I mean the actual number. When I say your credit history, remember, if you have an inquiry, that's your credit history. When you have multiple inquiries, that's your credit history. It may or may not affect your credit score, but it does affect your credit history because they're looking to see how many times your hard credit history got pulled. And the reason why a lot of places now tell you, if you're a customer already with them, they tell you, we're not pulling a hard pull, we're going to do a soft pull. And the reason for that is that they're still pulling your credit score, but they're not pulling your credit history. So when you say, what is a soft pull? A soft pull is your credit score. A hard pull is your credit history. Your credit history has the entire history that you have, plus it has a score attached to it. That way they can dissect if you're the person that they would like to do business with based on your credit history. The benefit of a hard pull is that now you can refute, you can appeal, you can say this is right, this is not right, this is correct, this is not correct. The negatives to that is that once you get too many hard pulls, you actually affect your credit score. So we want to make sure that we are mindful of these things. So when it comes to what do I need to do, you need to make sure that I think a gentleman said this best. If you're going to do a hard pull, make it for new credit. If you're expanding the credit you got, then make it a soft pull because they already have your history. The soft pull is just pulling a new number. And then they're utilizing that to determine if you need more or if they need to increase your credit.
Okay, got it.
I do want to let you know that both are good in their own perspective ways. It's just one can affect you adversely just by looking at it. So if too many agencies pull or do a hard pull, that in turn will negatively affect you. Right. If everybody look at you and do a soft pull, that will not affect you at all.
Okay.
So the goal is to have soft pulls if it's to increase, or hard pull if it's a new line of credit.
All right.
That way you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Now the next one goes right into what I was talking about. The soft pull deals with your credit score. Your credit score is a number. It used to be up to 800. Now the credit score is from 300 to 900. But the credit score does a lot more. As we get more advanced in time, the credit score may continue to go higher. But right now, the highest you can get is 900. That is the highest. But I want to make sure that you understand that your credit score is something in which you can not manipulate, but you can handle. Now, if you do it correctly, it may be manipulated. It may be adjusted. It may be increased. It also can be decreased. It also could be detrimental because your credit score is almost like it's living, because every month it will go high or low, depending on where the marketplace sees you versus everyone else around you. So there are companies that can do a free credit pull. It's free. And when I say free, I do mean this is a soft pull that they provide to you as a customer or as a free service. Most credit card companies do this automatically. They do this because now, since soft pulls no longer hurt your credit history and it does not affect your credit score, you can do a soft pull continuously, at least throughout your entire month, and it won't affect your credit score. Mm-hmm. On top of the soft pulls, you also have companies that will give you a free score. One of them is Credit Karma, Credit CSAM, or Credit Sesame, or Wallet Hub. They all offer a free service. The free credit, your credit score is a quick picture of where you are in the market according to everyone else. So it's not just based on you, it's based on you in the market of everyone else. So whereas your credit history has all of your information in it and it's tied to a number, remember your credit score is a number that represents your history. However, it's in relation to everyone else around you. Because of everyone, if there was no one who could hit 900 and the highest score was 800, then that in turn would make your credit score higher or lower.
Okay.
Okay. If everyone is hitting 700 and your credit score is 699, well, then now you're below average. Mm-hmm. However, it is some people out here that do have a 300, and there are people that have 500s. So the higher your credit score is, the bigger you are from the bottom of the barrel. And by being higher, that puts you in relationship to being above average, at the top, or at the extreme top. Okay. Remember our credit. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
No, I was just saying, okay, I understand.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because I want to make sure that everybody understands that these are marvelous things that we can do. And all of these things, all of these instruments are to put us in a better situation. So whereas your credit history is free once a year, and once you utilize that to put yourself in a better scenario, your credit score is forever changing month to month. So you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence with the biggest things to worry about or to be concerned about or to be mindful is your debt to income ratio, which is a really big thing in this day and age. When I say your debt to income ratio, I mean the amount of credit you have versus the amount of credit that you're utilizing. So if you have a $10,000 credit card, if you utilize more than $3,000 of that $10,000 of worth of credit, if you did that more than 60 days, your credit score will start to drop. Mm-hmm. And I know what everyone was thinking. I have that much more credit. Yes, you do. But there's a system. The credit score is a system. So the system is 30%. Anything more than 30% longer than 60 days will start negatively affecting your credit score. So I guess the question is, how do you get beyond that?
Right.
Easy. Get more credit. So you're going to open up one card, open up 3 cards. And then I know what you're asking. Why would I do that? Easy. It's a really good reason. If you open up one credit card, that's one hard pull against your credit, and then that will drop off eventually. But if you do 3 to 5 hard pulls in the same time frame, just the same time frame, you're going to experience the same adverse. When I say adverse, I don't mean that you're going to drop 100 points, but you may drop 2 points, you may drop 10 points, but you experience that same level from one hard pull as you do with 5 hard pulls. Okay. So if you're going to do it all within a particular time frame to do a hard pull. Once the hard pull is done over that time frame, your score will drop about 10 points. Believe me, it's not a lot, but it does drop. So after it drops, you have that much more credit. Now, instead of you getting 1 card at 20,000, you have 5 cards at 20,000. Mm-hmm. That will take your credit limit up to 100,000, which means 30% of that is $30,000 versus 30% of 1 credit card at 20,000 is only $6,000. I know it's math.
It's good. My question is, when you get the 5 credit cards or however many you get, do you get them all from the same bank, or is it still okay if you get it from different places?
Oh, my recommendation, different places. Mm-hmm. If you get it from the same bank, you're only going to get 1 hard pull, and then everything else is a soft pull because they already have your hard information. It will be a soft pull. So that will it won't affect you, but it's not helping you because you're still being that same window. So if you take it, so let's say your bank of choice is Chase Bank. Anyway, I gotta do one hard pull, but you got 3 accounts at Chase Bank because you just live life to the fullest. So you got three accounts at Chase Bank. So you got one hard pull, and everything else is just a soft pull. But then you say, well, I got Bank of America, one hard pull, everything else is a soft pull. Then you got Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, one hard pull, everything else is a soft pull. And then the 4th bank is U.S. Bank because that's really big in the Midwest. You got one hard pull and everything else is a soft pull. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 hard pulls. And depending on whatever lines of credit you have, those are all soft pulls. So the 4 hard pulls done within a time frame of, let's say, 10 days. That's going to knock your credit score down by 10 points. But with that much more credit that you can utilize, you can get what you need to get done.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah. And remember, when I say it is 60 days. So let's say you say, I need to do this movement and I need to use more than 30% of this credit card. If you have a plan and everything is assigned and everything is in place, utilize those funds. Go out there, grab the item that you need. And remember, within 60 days, you want to make sure you're dialing it back under 30%. It don't have to be at 0, but it do have to be under 30%. Now, the question is, what's the benefit? There's many benefits. So if you can keep your account under 30, and even I'm still learning. So this is not like everything that I'm telling you is the way it's always been. Excuse me. What I'm telling you right now is how it is right now, or what it has been for the last almost 10 years. Okay. So let's say you have a $10,000 credit card. You use 40% of that, which is $4,000. Within 60 days, you dial it back down to $3,000. You're under the 30% threshold. Your credit score will keep improving. If you're at the 40% threshold, which means you're at 4,000, it's $1,000 difference. But if you stay at the 40% threshold after 60 days, your credit score will start to drop off. And the reason for that is because you're higher than 30%. Mm-hmm. Now, depending on what agency, all agencies have the minimum to be 30%. Some may go as high as 40%. But as a smart and general rule of thumb, I got to tell you 30% because everyone is at 30%. Yeah.
All right. And so those who are joining us tonight, welcome to Financial Friday on Rise and Thrive. Our host is Dr. Anthony D. Burns. I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield standing in for him this evening. And if you have questions about credit score, credit history, James is really doing a thorough job of explaining all of that for us tonight. You can put those in the comments for us. If you didn't fill out that survey that we talked about last week, I'm going to have a link available for you guys in just a little bit, and you can go to that link, fill out the survey, and it helps Pastor and James pull together information that's valuable to you. All right. So make sure that you connect to that survey and get it completed. It's very simple. And then we'll have that information for them as they're planning upcoming sessions and upcoming lives for you for Financial Friday.
Yeah, fill out the survey. So the survey is very important. So I want to make sure that's my 2 cents. The survey is very important. We have a lot of information, but if you're not rising and thriving out of your current situation, then what's the point? So we do need you to fill out the surveys. We do need you to ask questions. And I am here to help you get from where you are to where you want to be.
Yes.
If it's financially secured, I got you. If it's how to make $1 million in less than 20 days, I guess we got to go through that route together. But if it's how to become stable, how to be financially how to have financial stability. I'm here for you, and I am here to help to get you to that point.
All right.
Okay. Moving on from there. So we talked about your credit history. We talked about your credit score. Now we're going to go into personal history. So when it talks about personal history, some people get some things wrong because they believe that they're different. So when you talk about personal history, this is the things in which can affect you, but it may not affect your credit. Your credit history is typically done through a hard pull, and that gives you the history of your finances plus a credit score that's in relation to your peers. Your credit score by itself is typically a soft pull, but it tells other people where you are in relations to your peers that are using credit. Now, your personal history, this is knowing your personal history. This can affect you substantially more than your credit history or your credit card, because this is how we as a person, as a culture, this is how we influence one another and we can grow. I was just talking to somebody not too long ago about their personal history, not your credit history, but your personal history. Your personal history allows people to see who you are when it comes in relations to commerce and when it comes in relations to how you deal with people, how you deal with your personal matters. Those things are really big. It's not just finances. We also want to make sure that your personal history is also intact.
Okay.
Now, the personal history isn't as available to the public as they tell you it is, but it is something in which each of us can individually go to and find out where all of this information is. Okay. The biggest thing is your government records. So when I talk about your government records, hold on, I got to stop. Did I tell anybody to take notes? It says that. Okay. Everybody take notes. This is very important because you can Google credit history. You can Google credit score, but the information I'm about to tell you, you may not be able to Google it, and you may just need to know where it's at or how to find it.
Okay.
Since I run a management company, we have a lot more privileges to get a lot more information. So you got to do a little bit more research, but all of this information is available to you for your own personal history. Okay. Okay. Now, since I said that's my caveat. Now let's get into it. Your government records tells them how you are in the court system, and it identifies who you are. So when you put on your social security number, that's a government record that ties into many things. So I will give you an example. My name is James Jones. I know what you're thinking. Very unique. However, there's a bunch of people with the name James Jones.
Right.
When I turned 18, which was probably decades ago, I had a lot of stuff on my government record. And I mean a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff was tied to me, which was even tied to me before I was even born. Some things was tied to me, and I wasn't even in the state that it happened. When I tell you there's a lot of things that was tied to me or tied to my name being James Jones, different types of credit, different types of allegations, different types of warnings, different types of bench warrants, different types of circumstances. So knowing your government record is very valuable to you. If this is not correct, you will find yourself driving down a highway getting stopped because they marked your plates and said this person is a person of interest. Not that you're guilty or not guilty, but you could be a person of interest, which means you still will have to spend time dealing with law enforcement. So let's get past that. Your government records you can find at, if you're in Milwaukee, it's your city hall. If you're in Chicago, it's your state's building or your city hall. And the reason why I say that is because you can CCAP the CCAP tells people where you've been or who you are on the circuit. That means according to all your court records. Now, in order for me to pull that, I need to have your information and pull it. But you as a person can pull all this information by yourself and you can review your own information. It's very important that you have a good personal history. So government agencies that will still keep up with your information is your DMV, your clerk of courts, your city records. All of these things can be accessed online. So if you're in Chicago or you're in Maine or you're in New York, it is your city court, but you got to Google or find out that description of what is that URL. The URL is just the website in which you go to. So majority of people is from Milwaukee. So you can go to the cityofmilwaukee.gov, look up the city clerk, and then go in there to view your history. If you're a owner and you don't know about your taxes, you can go in there, look up register of deeds, and then find that information that they have on you. And if it is negative or it is incorrect, you have to do the due process to relieve that information from off your record. And I want to make sure I specify that directly. It's your record. So if you don't want to do what I did, it took me about 2.5 years to actually clear my record, my government record of all the incidences that was going on. And it took me even longer than that to make sure that I was blocking off that information. Now, if your name is very unique, and I do mean very unique, you may not have to do as much as I did. And you may not have to fence in your social security number and your name for reasons of people just putting stuff onto you. Mm-hmm. But if your name is common, your name is as common as James Jones or John Smith, or your actual name is Jonathan Doe or James Doe, you may want to go through the precautions of making sure your information is actually correct, it's actually you, and it's boxed in or it's secured so any company can't just attach information to that name or to your name.
All right. So when you did those checks for yourself, did something happen, or you just said, I want to check out my records and see what's going on?
Oh, no. I found this out the hard way. Okay. So I got a parking ticket. A parking ticket. This is a $15 parking ticket. I went down to the city of Milwaukee to pay it. I went out to the city of Milwaukee. This lady asked me about 20 different addresses, none of which I was living at. She asked me about an incident, which I didn't have any idea. So when I was trying to explain that to her, I had 2 officers walk on the side of me, and they was just there to observe what was going on. When I tell you, it's a lot different when you got 2 officers waiting for you to get done, because there are bench warrants out there with your name on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So the benefit for me is that I was overseas when some of this stuff was transpiring. So the benefit of being in the military at that current point in time is that I can identify that I wasn't even in the country.
Right.
They had a lot of stuff on my name. When I say a lot, I do mean I want to say over 30 charges that was attached to my name.
Wow. And
some of them was more horrific, like armed robbery, domestic violence, reckless endangerment. Like, it was a lot, but I had a bunch of small ones, like speeding, reckless speeding, driving through a school zone, drunken in public, like drunken disorderly, things like that, which isn't who I am, and it wasn't part of my character. I mean, it's something that they could have got on me. If they said, hey, you were speeding, okay, fine, you got me. That might have been me. But the times wasn't correct, and all of these allegations wasn't even mine. It was just my name was James Jones. And since I live in the county of Milwaukee, all of these people are listed as James Joneses. So they went down the list and they attached every James Jones they attached all of these items to James Jones.
Got it.
And I was laughing, but I told him, if I committed armed robbery, why would I be in here paying a parking ticket for $15? I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be me.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be like, man, I just stole a couple $1,000,000. Here go $15. Yeah, here go that one parking ticket from last night. Like, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even be in here. But it took a lot of time. When I say a lot of time, I had to review the bench warrants first, because you gotta do them in order of precedence. Mm-hmm. So it's the most heinous crimes first. You gotta go through, and mine's a little bit different because I had to go to court. So I had to go to court and prove all of this information. And it wasn't like they just had one list and I went through and they just canceled the whole list. That isn't what happened at all. Some things, while I was fighting other things, I had to go back to court to fight the smaller things, go back to court, address the major concerns, because just because I addressed it the first time, that doesn't mean somebody's going to ask me questions. So I'll go and address it, go to court, I addressed it, had to leave. They had a counter that came in, and then he was questioning me. And I mean, I still had bench warrants out while all of this was taking part. So when I tell you, it was a big ordeal for me to get that straightened up. That's why after a while, I started making sure that my information was very secured, and right, that if people do pop stuff in there, is being cleansed on an almost regular basis because of. Mm-hmm. Now, do people gotta fall into the same issue as me? No, it's not a lot of people out there with a name as common as me. And as much as I like my name, I mean, I like Ben James Jones, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm not liking it. It's just that knowing your personal history is very beneficial. Mm-hmm. So when you go and you want to get a passport, knowing your government record history is very beneficial, because that tells the country that you're coming from or that you're going to, that you're a safe person to be there, or that the idea of getting a passport is part of knowing your government history. So your personal history when it comes to government records is really key. And you can wholeheartedly get most, if not all, of your information from your county office, from your city office. So your home of record where you sleep or where you reside, and your county record keeps a lot of information. You can go as high as to your state record. Your federal doesn't really keep a lot of information on you except for the IRS. So the Internal Revenue Service, yeah, they got information on you as well. So you can check with them about, and all of this stuff is free. So let me make sure I say that correctly. To the person, is free. If you have a company do it, it does cost money because that company isn't you. So everything that's dealing with you is free. So you have the freedom to go talk to the IRS for yourself. You have the freedom to talk to your state by yourself. You have the freedom to talk to your city or village or town by yourself. And you have the freedom to talk to your local organizations by yourself. If you're representing yourself, you have those freedoms to do that all for free. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure I reiterate free, because free is how we got to do things. Or you can just pay somebody and hope that they do it. Free is, you're doing it. You just got to go through the motions.
Okay. All right. And so if this information is being helpful for you tonight, let us know in the comments. Say yes, raise your hand in there and say, yes, this is very helpful. This is new information for me. I didn't know about all of these different things, that the different records and all of that. Put that in the comments so we know that we're in a good spot to give you some fresh and some new information.
Oh, yeah. The next one is your employee records. So whenever you switch jobs, or the way it was in the past, most companies were looking for an employee who was at the company or at their previous employer for about 5 years. Now, they do ask that people provide this information. However, there are agencies that can pull your employment record. Likewise, you don't need to pull your employment record. You know your employment record.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could pull it, but you know your employment record. Your employment record is just the places that you've been and the length of time in which you've been there. When you try to get yourself hired at a company, they typically pull your social security number and they run that through a system of work related cycle. By doing that, they can pull out where you was getting a W-2 from, and that is what dictates your employment history. If you find yourself not being qualified for W-2, and when I say that, I do mean if you're taking cash offers. So if you're a handyman and you're getting straight cash, or you're a plumber that's getting straight cash, or you have a trade in which you're doing that doesn't offer a W-2, you probably don't have a strong employment history. It's not that it's bad, it's just it's not readily known. So you have to do a little bit more work to make sure that those things that you're doing are being recognized. Even as a contractor, you want to make sure that you are recognized for the time that you're put in, because these things help out your Social Security at the end of the year, at the end of your work span. And I know some people don't believe in Social Security. I am not a big proponent of it, but I do know if there is money to grab your money that's assigned to you. So the reason for that is that you want to make sure that what you're doing is ethically and it's in your best interest. So if you're working a job and you're making $20,000, you want to make sure that it is being documented that you're doing that. So at the end of your work cycle, so when you turn 50, when you turn 60, when you turn 70, when you turn 80, you can start recouping whatever money is left. You can sign yourself up for Medicare, Medicaid, and you will have those abilities and those benefits.
Okay, got it. Now, I'm trying to keep track of our time tonight, and as I'm looking, we're on employment right now, and we probably have enough time to get education in there also. Does that sound okay, James?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Educational record is the easiest. It's the easiest because there's not a lot of discrepancies in educational records. However, some people don't understand that if you apply for a school and you are accepted, that is now part of your educational record. It's not about you doing one semester. It's about when you apply for the school and you are accepted, that school puts you on I want to say a scroll, because I can't think of a better name for it, but they put you in as a member of the school. Now that does allow you to get some benefits, but not as a student. So as you say, hey, I went to this school, I went to this school, I went to this school, you want to make sure that information is correct, because oftentimes just by being a member of a school, you're not authorized some of the benefits of the school. And if you look at your history or you Google the history, there's a lot of people who were accepted to the school. So they was on the school scroll, but they didn't finish their degree. You want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to make sure you finish your degree. And if something was to come up where you don't have it, this did happen to me. I finished my degree back in 2001. I want to say 2001, 2002. It wasn't until I came back to start another degree that I found out that my first degree wasn't done. And the reason why my first degree wasn't done is because I didn't sign up for graduation. Something that small. Yeah, something that small. I had all the credits. I had the credits done. I had the workload done. I tested out. I was good to go, but I didn't sign up for graduation. So they didn't issue me a certificate of graduation. I had everything done, and it wasn't until I went back to get another degree. I was like, yeah, I got enough. I'm gonna go get another degree. And it was like, well, do you want to finish your prior degree? I said, what do I have to do? Well, it says that you're done. Well, then I thought I was done. Well, what's the problem? And then I had to pay my graduation. I didn't walk across stage. I just had to pay my graduation dues, and then I got issued a certificate of graduation.
Okay. But
those are things you want to check into. I think we got 10 minutes. I think I have one last slide.
Okay, let's do it.
This is the easy one. Okay. Guys, we don't have a lot of time, so let's jump into this. Remember, everything is about small steps. So now this is everything about me and you just talking. What can you afford? So when I say that, I am always stressing about how much do you spend when rent, groceries, gasoline. I say that because I don't want anything to come in between us. I just want you to know that the small things matter when it comes to money. Because if every day you went outside and you dropped $10, eventually you're going to run out of money just by dropping it on the ground. The same is true when you have money that's not allocated, when you have money that's not assigned, when you have money not purposed to do something. It's like dropping money outside your pocket. It may feel good that you have so much money that you can drop it, but overall, not assigning your money will be a hindrance to you. Okay. So you want to know how much you spend on rent, how much you spend on gasoline, how much you spend on groceries. Then you also have your accoutrements, the things that make you feel better. So if you like a sports car versus a regular car, well, what's the difference? How much are you spending on that? If you like the luxury studio apartment versus what you need, which is a regular apartment, the difference in that. By knowing the difference, then it gives you a balance on highs and lows. I personally like to walk around with people rolling out the red carpet and somebody throwing flowers, and I'm just barefoot sliding on this carpet. I do like that. Trust me, I really do. I think that's the coolest thing ever. However, sis, I'm telling the truth, sis. I'm telling the truth.
Okay, I'm just giggling over here, all right?
Okay. If I could pop out a limousine every single day and somebody roll out some red carpet, I'm just walking on some red carpet and 3 people are just throwing flowers on the ground, I'm just like, I will let it happen every day. However, the cost that it would take to do that every single day is not what I want to pay right now. Remember, it is what we say. I'm not saying I can't afford it. I'm saying the cost is not what I want to spend right now. And by knowing that I don't want to, I would like to have that. I just don't want to spend that amount of money to have somebody throw flowers on the ground while 2 dudes are rolling out carpet for me, so I can always just be where I want to be on red carpet. The cost of that is something that I don't want to spend my money on. So I know I know what I want, and I know what the minimum is. So as a result, I just buy socks and shoes, and I walk on sidewalk. Right. And no one throws carpet down. No one is rolling out carpet. No one is throwing out these roses. I'm just walking around with socks and shoes on. It's because you have to know what you can afford and what you plan on spending your money on. I use that just to be facetious, but we all know that there's a cell phone you can get that can do all the things that you need to do. And then it's a cell phone that's $3,000. It's super high tech. It can like teleport back and forth. You don't need that phone, but you like that phone because it's a status symbol. Mm-hmm. The same thing is true with certain vehicles that we drive. We can all afford to get a Chevy Aveo or a Chevy Cruze, right? That's what we can afford. But then some people are like, well, I need the 2025 GMC, the GMC Yukon Denali fully loaded XXL. I guess, I mean, if you're going back and forth to the store, I guess that's a really good thing to have. But do you need it versus do you need it or do you want it? Mm-hmm. And knowing the difference between what we need and what we want allows us to be able to play in that gray area. Mm-hmm. Because once we get all our needs met and we have money assigned and we have additional money coming in, now we can say, you know what, I do like a better phone. Mm-hmm. I would like to get premium gas versus the medium rate grade gas. You know what, I would like to live in a better area, or one that I would like to cultivate. I would like to send my kids to private school versus public school, because we gotta know what the things that we can't do without first. Then we can go for all the things that we would like or the things that we want.
Right. I understand that. Back to the basics, making sure the basic needs are met. You're not going to go out and spend frivolously and your kids need shoes. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You want to make sure you have all of that. And then when you've assigned money and you have this amount left, you can be more You can have more choices.
Yes, there you go. Yes, yes, yes. Choices are everything. And if we don't do them correctly, then you limit your choices and you limit where you go. I want to just caveat that to your taxes. So every year, people do their taxes. Now, if you get money back, which I suggest that you do, some people believe in not, but if you have the ability to get money back, do not spend the money on anything. Have a direct plan for that money to do something in the future. If your plan is, I'm going to spend it early and I'm going to use the tax return to pay off all these credit cards, eventually it's going to run out because the tax codes are going to change and you may not get back what you're anticipating. So the best thing to do is to shore up that discrepancy, live within your means, and then use your taxes to propel yourself in the things that you want in life or to your next investment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a great tip for those of us who have already, gotten those refunds, and for those whose refunds are on the way. That's a good tip, not to use it all at one time and to just waste it, but to use it to propel you into something else. Awesome, James. Do you have any final words for everyone tonight?
Yes. Okay. Just like I started is how I wanted to end this. So for this week, get into knowing your credit history. Get into knowing your credit score. Those two are particularly easy to do, and you can manage doing that over the course of your busy or productive or rough week. Your personal history, the reason why that's third is because I want you to put that in, not on the back burner, but something in which you will have to nibble at to make sure you get it completely. So your personal history isn't something that you can get all in one day. It is something that you do have to work out throughout your time to make sure that you can accomplish all of those things.
Okay.
Lastly is what you can afford. As much as we laugh and joke about all the stuff that we may buy or not buy, the decisions that we make or the ones that we should have made, knowing what you can afford and knowing what you want are paramount in order for you to move into financial stability.
All right. I want to put up the link for, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
You can go there, just, type that in there. Is a pretty easy link that you can put in there. And you can go ahead to the survey, complete it right there. That's all you have to do, submit it, and we'll get it. And so Pastor and James can look over those surveys to see what things have you done since we've been doing Financial Fridays. What things can you check off your to-do list that, okay, I did this, I got the emergency fund, or I started the different savings accounts and things like that. And what else do you want to know? This one right here, the personal history, that one was a surprise for me. So that was some good information, and making sure that when you have those common names, you're going and checking that information out. You don't want to be like James, going to pay a ticket and something else is brewing. Okay.
That was so horrific.
I'm sure that was pretty traumatic. Like, what? I'm just here to pay this ticket. How can I help you? What's happening here? So yeah, make sure that you check into your personal history, educational history. Also, the example that James gave, thinking that he had a degree, where the school is saying, no, you don't. You didn't finish it because you didn't apply to graduate. Those, simple things that you may overlook, but they're very important when it comes to these